Why do some Nigerians get offended when South Africans tell us to focus on our countries? I mean, I cannot avoid this conversation on TikTok, especially because I avoid it, but I have followers who are deeply involved in this Nigeria versus South Africa conversation, and they always ask me, Kingsley, can you imagine what this South African is saying? Can you imagine what this South African is saying? I'm like, what? Okay, what is the South African saying? And it's always something to the variation of, oh, they're telling us to focus on Nigeria. They're telling us to go back to our country. They're telling us to do this. Okay. And I always say, okay, I don't tolerate disrespect from anybody. Um, but are the South Africans wrong to tell us to focus on our country? Are the South Africans wrong for telling Nigerians to focus on Nigeria? I don't think the South Africans are wrong for telling us as Nigerians, especially those of us with a mic, to focus on Nigeria. I personally don't think that's a wrong thing. I think, the South Africans are well within their rights to tell us they don't need our input. They never asked for input, so we shouldn't give an input. We can make some comments here and there, but I don't think, as a Nigerian, I don't think me telling South Africans what to do is they didn't ask for it. I've never been asked by a South African to tell to tell them what to do, and I have to respect that. I'm Nigerian. I am from Nigeria. Nigeria has a lot of problems by itself. You understand? So for me, that is why I tend to not understand why some Nigerians tend to get triggered when South Africans tell us, oh, focus on your country. I personally don't see that as an insult. I see it as the truth. I see it as the truth. Us Nigerians need to focus on our countries. We absolutely do. We should focus on our countries because our country has a lot of mess. Our country has a lot of issues that we need to talk about. Does that make sense? And I think that it is vital. It is vital for us to have this perspective. You know what I mean? That's a perspective we must have. I don't see it as disrespect. I do not see it as disrespect. I see it as a relevant response from South Africans telling us as Nigerians to mind our business. And if you look at Nigeria as a country, Nigeria is a country that has a lot of promise, but it's also a country that has dropped the ball on multiple fronts. Multiple fronts. And it really bothers me because how long as Nigerians are we going to keep talking about potential this, potential that? Guys, time is running out. I'm not saying one country is better than the other. Some countries have some things that they do better than others. Absolutely. Nigeria has a lot of positives. Absolutely. But Nigeria as a country also has a lot of negatives. And those negatives sometimes outshadows and outruns the positive. And we as Nigerians, especially if we've been blessed with the mic or people love to listen to us speak, we need to focus our attention there. I mean, we have politicians in Nigeria right now that are using the country as their personal bank account. They're using Nigeria as their playground, right? And us as Nigerians, if we don't focus on those critical topics instead of focusing on what South Africa is doing, what Kenya is doing, what other even I've seen Nigerians talking about what's happening in America. It's almost like us Nigerians, we would rather talk about what's going on miles away than speak about what's actually happening in our own country. I've seen Nigerians in Nigeria claiming to be Republicans. I have seen Nigerians in Nigeria who have never traveled out, by the way, claiming to be a Republican or a Democrat. And I'm like, there are Nigerians today with the picture of Trump in their room. It's almost as if the average Nigerian just wants to be part of somebody else's country. You have Nigerian analysts analyzing what Trump is doing. Oga, you have not analyzed your president, yet you're analyzing what somebody else's president is doing. I mean, I get it to an extent. America, whatever America does, impacts the rest of the world to some extent. But let's be honest, guys. Our top priority is not Trump. Your top priority is not UK. The top priority is your leadership. Okay?